Hey everybody, welcome to Chat and Craft with Lorraine. My name is Lorraine Tierney and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. I live in New Hampshire and I love to make cards, I love to send cards, I love to share cards, and I really like to help other people make cards, whether that's in person or inspiring people online. So I'm coming on today to make a card with one of my current favorite stamp sets. You know, it always changes. Whatever you've been working with lately becomes your favorite. Well, my current favorite is the Elegant Pine Snowflake bundle or suite. And then the stamp set is the Elegant Pines. And it's a snowflake and greenery stamp set. And if you go to Michael's or other craft stores, home goods, you'll see so much pine home decorations this year. Stampin' Up's right on trend with that. And this is really pretty. I have a virtual online retreat on November 30th that will be using this whole suite, and you can find more information on that on chatandcraftwithlorraine.com. That's my website. It has a blog, and if you put in Elegant Pine Snowflakes Retreat, you'll see information there. It's been in emails, or you can message me to find out more information. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the cards that I've created with my buddy Melva from Canada are just amazing. So if you live in the United States or Canada, you can participate in the retreat through one of us. And if you live someplace else, you can always buy the tutorial and get access to the cards that way, or in projects, because there's fancy fold cards, regular cards, and some projects. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Mary. All right, so let's flip my camera around and let's get started making this card. I found this on my desk today, and I just wanted to show you how beautiful this Elegant Pine Snowflake looks embossed in white. And this is on shaded spruce cardstock. It's really pretty. I've got to find a way to use that. I don't remember why it's just lying on my desk, but I will. So like I said, here's the stamp set, and I have put 2 stamps on 1 block, and we're going to make a background on this piece of pretty peacock. And sometimes I use tone on tone stamping, so I would stamp pretty peacock on pretty peacock. Hi, Michelle. But even with the same color, it was a little darker than what I was looking for, so I'm going to try doing it with Lost Lagoon on the pretty peacock, because I want a very subtle kind of color back there. So we'll see what happens with this. This is still maybe even a little darker than I wanted. I probably could have stamped off, but it's too late now. I can't start that now. This is just going to be a background. You won't see too much of this. But there it is with the Lost Lagoon. And I'll do one on the back just to show you. And maybe I'm all washed up and it's not going to be any darker with the pretty peacock. We'll see. It'll be an experiment. Yeah, I think that is even darker. There's the pretty peacock. And there it is with the Lost Lagoon on there. So I think the Lost Lagoon is a little lighter. Maybe I should have stamped off, but we'll see. So to this piece, eventually, let me back up. I started where I didn't want to. Eventually, we're going to add this piece to the front of a card base. And it's going to go all the way across from side to side, but leave a little bit from top to bottom. And I don't look like I folded this. It doesn't look like I folded it quite right. Let me see if I can fix that a little bit. There we go. So this is going to go like this, but we're going to put a little strip of silver foil at the top and at the bottom. And I don't like to put the whole panel of silver back there because it just gets hidden. So we're just going to put a little strip of it. And I don't like to use the liquid glue with the foil because, yes, you can move it around, but when you move it around, the liquid glue smudges all over the foil. So I'm going to use some seal, and I'm putting it as close to the edge as I can. There's the stamp and seal. And then I went off the edge a little bit. And then I'm going to put this down and try to just get a little bit of it showing. And I cut it longer than the paper, and I'll trim that with my snips in a second. But that way you can see that silver doesn't get all smudgy from the liquid glue. So now I'll try to do this one and have a similar border. Whoops, somehow I'm sticking to my paper. And that's pretty good. It's not quite as straight as I would like it. Maybe I can, yeah, see with the seal, you can sometimes peel it up. Ah, I got lucky on that. Whoops. And we'll try that again, a little bit more even. And however it comes out, that's how it's staying this time. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim these little pieces right off. Sorry, it's hard to talk and concentrate at the same time. Okay, so that is now going to go on here, just like that. And I just wanted that little bit. Hi, Joanne. Welcome. A little bit of a silver edging. It adds a little light and a little elegance to our card front. So we'll put that on. Now we're going to spell the word joy on the front of the card. I've used my party alphabet dies. I've already die cut these letters out. And you can see I only have the J and the Y. And we are going to use the snowflake as our O in there. Hi, Jan. Uh, and I thought the letters looked just a little bit plainer than I wanted them to be. I thought about stamping on them, but I decided that I wanted to emboss on them. So I'm going to put them in this broken glass embossing folder. And this is a mini folder that only has the design on about 2/3 of it. So I'm going to try to put my letters in so that they get the design on the full piece of the letter and have them somewhat straight. Okay, and I thought that this broken glass might look have a little bit of a snowflake-ish look to it. I don't know if there's a current embossing folder that has snowflakes on it. If there is, I don't have it. I do have an old one, but I wanted to use something that you could also use. So this, I think this embossing folder comes in a pair. It's called Glass and Flowers, I think, something like that. But I thought these would look pretty. Yeah, it's kind of snowflake-ish, crystal-ish. So we have that, which we are going to put these on here. And then we're going to put our snowflake in the middle as the O. So here's a piece for our snowflake, and we're going to stamp this one in Lost Lagoon first. I make sure I get the stamp is bigger than the stamp pad, so I've got to move it around a little. And we're going to cut this out with a die, so it doesn't have to be straight on here. And there we get a beautiful snowflake. And now I want to add a little more detail to this snowflake. So we're going to add this stamp, which is kind of feathery. I'm not sure if it's a greenery that's feathery like this. I don't know what it is, or leaves, but it's very pretty. And so I'm going to try to get that in these spaces here on my snowflake. Jan, did I say hi and thanks for watching? I hope I did. Okay, there we go. So now we have the next layer in there. And of course, our pine boughs need a little red on them. Well, unfortunately, this stamp set doesn't come with any red berries in a stamp. It does have dies for red berries, either here in groups of 3 or here is a row of the berries. But I wanted to keep it stamped on this because I feel like I have enough texture going on with the background stamping and then the embossing. So I'm going to use these little berries from the Seasonal Tags stamp set. This is another new one. So there's a little tiny set of 3 berries. So with real red, I'm going to do a little, whoops, wrong stamp, a little stamping with that. And with such a little stamp, beware of getting ink on the corners of your block and then having the block touch the paper and getting ink on your paper. So be careful with that. So I'm going to just do it on each branch. I just think that will give it a nice tie-in with our joy letters. And there are some little dots right here on that branch, and I'm putting the 3 red dots right over that. Okay, so there we go with that. And now I'm going to take this die and line this up. I'm going to get a little piece of tape because that wants to slide a little bit. I just had, oh, here it is. Just had my tape out. Let's make sure we're good with that. Okay, and I'm going to put this through my machine. And then I'll show you how that's going to be. Oh, I could cut out that center part where I did the darker stamping and have the O be somewhat hollow in the middle, but I decided I liked the extra stamping in there. Okay. So this is going to be the O. So we need to put our letters on and then our O in the middle. It's a little bit tricky getting those letters right where you want them. I tried using my ruler as a guide. Let's see if I do this one right there. I'm going to leave my ruler there and see if that will help me get these straight. So putting my trusty old liquid glue on that, and I'm going to go pretty close to the edge so that as much of the snowflake as I can will fit in there without covering up my letters. The snowflake is pretty big. Just okay. Here we go. Whoops. Oh, I didn't look at my top of my Y to make sure that I was getting that on the page. So I've got a little glue. We may have to use our adhesive eraser to get that off. And now this is going to be our O right in there. So let's pop that up on some dimensionals, which are also hiding here someplace. Oh, I'm glad you like the little berries, Michelle. I like those too. Did I call them berries or did I just call them red things? I might have called them red things. You never know. Well, thank you, Julie. I hope it is joyful. Yeah. I love having the ability to spell things out with the dies. And I've always wanted to make a card with something standing in as the O, a stamped image, and I don't think I've ever done this before. So here's my chance. So that's going to go right there. And then we're going to put a little red dot in the center. If I can find them. Oh, they're in the other room. My deer dots are going to get used at a class tonight. So I'll put a sparkly red one. Whoa, did you see that go flying in the center? Right there. A little sparkle with that. And then I'm going to use a couple of these faceted snowflakes around here. And I'm going to go for the pretty peacock on pretty peacock kind of color again. You could do the red. You could do the silver. I'm going to go with the pretty peacock, and you can see they're very sparkly. They're very pretty. And then for the inside, on my piece of basic white, I am going to stamp this sentiment from Bauble Blooms because it says joyous wishes to you and yours. And I just couldn't resist having the joy be in there again. So joyous wishes. And a couple of snowflakes. So this is one of the cards that I will be. I'm glad you like that snowflake, Jan. Thank you, Joanne and Michelle and Melanie. This is one of the cards that I'll be making in my class here at home tonight. I would love to have more local people come and join us. So there's joyous wishes to you and yours. And then we'll do a couple of snowflakes. I want to stamp off and do them, and I didn't take that as my stamping off because it went off the paper, so it hadn't stamped off as equally as I would have wanted it to. I'm just going to put this one up here. There we go. So there's our snowflakes, and we'll just put that on the inside. Whoops, sticking to my paper I am. And that will be it for today. I've been with babies in Connecticut and babies in Vermont the past few days, so I didn't go live for a second time this past week, but I will try to do that this week. So there is my joyful card. I hope that you like it. I'd love to have you participate in Stamp Camp. I'd love to help you make cards if I can. And if there's any way I can help you do that, please just send me a message. I would love to do that. Have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon, and I hope that you have a great week. And I will see you again later in the week. Bye, everybody.